Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are going to embark on a really fascinating journey, looking at exactly how we can intentionally design life's most memorable experiences. Think about your own life for a second. We all have these defining moments, right? These deeply meaningful experiences that just stand out so vividly in our memories, while countless other days just kind of fade into a blur. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how you can take control of that process. Okay, let's dive into this. We usually operate under this assumption that life's biggest moments are left purely to luck or fate. We picture a lucky encounter with someone who becomes the love of our life, or this sudden, random realization that we don't want to spend one more day at our current job. These moments seem like the product of serendipity. We just assume we can't control them. But must our defining moments just happen to us? Like, what if we didn't have to wait around for them? To answer that, we're pulling directly from the brilliant source text, The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. We'll be exploring the underlying psychology they've identified to understand why certain experiences have such an extraordinary impact on us. And, the really exciting part, how we can engineer those exact same types of experiences for ourselves and the people around us. Section 1, Authoring a Defining Moment. Let's kick things off with a powerful story of two people who completely refuse to leave defining moments up to chance. Picture this. It's October 2000. Two exhausted charter school founders, Chris Barbeck and Donald Comments, are sitting at a pub in Houston eating a Tombstone pizza. They're watching ESPN completely hype up National Signing Day for college football recruits, and they just thought, why on earth don't we celebrate academics like this? Their students were primarily kids from low-income families who would literally be the first in their families to ever graduate high school. They desperately deserve that kind of massive celebration. So, they engineered a moment. In April 2001, they took 17 graduating seniors from their Yes Prep school and they put them on a stage in front of 450 cheering people. Each senior grabbed the microphone, unveiled a pennant, and announced where they were going to college to just absolute roaring applause. And that completely manufactured moment carried immense, life-changing emotional weight. It actually became the most important annual event for their whole school network. Fast forward a few years, and this event had moved into the massive basketball arena at Rice University in front of 5,000 people. The U.S. Secretary of Education at the time, Aaron Duncan, was there as the keynote speaker. He was so incredibly moved by what he saw that he actually scrapped his prepared remarks and said, "No basketball game begins to compare to the magnitude and importance of what happened here today." It proved, without a doubt, that defining moments don't just happen. They can be authored. Section 2, The Psychology of Memory. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the math behind our memories. Why do we remember certain things over others? With a massive arena celebration, sure, it's obvious. But what about everyday stuff? Why do some vacations stick with us while others completely vanish? Well, imagine taking your family to Disney World. If psychologists texted you every hour to rate your experience from 1 to 10, it might look a bit like this. At 9 a.m., you're cattle herding your kids, but hey, there's excitement, so let's call it a 6. At 11 a.m., you ride Space Mountain, total dopamine rush, easy 10. By 1 p.m., you're sweating in a 45-minute line trying to keep your kid from gnawing on a handrail. That is a miserable 3. But then at 2 p.m., you're buying those little mouse ear hats on the way out. They look adorable, so you're back up to an 8. If we actually average those ratings, the day is mathematically a 6.5. But if we ask you weeks later to rate your Disney trip, you are never going to say 6.5. You'll probably say it was a 9. To get why our memory totally defies the mathematical average, we have to look at a genuinely bizarre scientific experiment. Participants were asked to do these painful trials where they submerge their hands in freezing cold water. Trial 1 was 60 seconds of pain in 57-degree water. Trial 2 was identical for the first 60 seconds, but then they had to keep their hands in for an additional 30 seconds. And during that extra time, the water was warmed up just slightly to 59 degrees. So if you think about it, Trial 2 is objectively way more total pain. It's 90 seconds of suffering instead of just 60. But then the participants were asked, which trial would you rather repeat? You'd assume everyone would choose the shorter trial, right? I mean, why suffer longer? But astoundingly, 69% of people, no joke, actually chose to repeat the longer 90-second trial of pain. And this right here is a massive aha moment for us. Psychologists call this the peak end rule. When we assess an experience, we actually completely ignore its length, a quirky little bug in our brains known as duration neglect. Instead, we rate the whole experience based on just two specific moments: its peak, which is the absolute best or worst moment, and its ending. The 90-second cold water trial was chosen simply because it had a slightly more comfortable ending. And just like that, your Disney trip is remembered as a 9 because your brain locks onto the peak, riding Space Mountain, and the end, buying those cute mouse ears. You literally just erase the 45 minutes of sweating in line from your final evaluation.
Section 3. Building Peaks at the Magic Castle.
So, how do we actually apply this peak end rule in the real world, like in customer service? Let me introduce you to the Magic Castle Hotel in Los Angeles. If you saw this place, it's a converted 1950s canary yellow apartment complex. The pool is super tiny, the rooms are pretty dated. Honestly, visually, it looks like a standard budget motel. Yet, it consistently ranks as one of the absolute top-rated hotels in all of Los Angeles, frequently triumphing over luxury titans like the Ritz-Carlton. No way, right? How is that even possible? Because the Magic Castle completely understands how to build peaks. By the tiny pool, there's a cherry red phone. You pick it up and someone answers, "Popsicle hotline." Minutes later, a staff member wearing white gloves delivers free popsicles to you on a silver tray. They have a massive free snack menu. You can drop off unlimited laundry and it comes back to you wrapped in butcher paper with a little sprig of lavender. It brilliantly illustrates that customers will gladly forgive average aesthetics if you intentionally engineer a few unforgettable, magical peaks. Great service experiences are mostly forgettable, but occasionally remarkable. Section 4. 4 elements of moments. Let's move to this and see how this builds our practical framework for engineering moments ourselves. The first element is elevation. Defining moments rise above the everyday, boring routine. To construct an elevated moment, we literally have to break the normal script. We boost sensory pleasures and we add surprise. That is exactly what the Magic Castle Hotel does. A budget hotel shouldn't have a silver tray popsicle delivery. It completely transcends the normal course of events and creates this amazing, memorable delight. The second element is insight. These are the moments that completely rewire our understanding of ourselves or the world. In just a matter of seconds, things become completely clear. It's that sudden realization that it's time to start a business, or the exact second you know who you're going to marry. These moments cause us to abruptly trip over the truth. And the cool part is, we can absolutely lay the groundwork to help ourselves and the people around us find those moments. Element 3 is pride. These moments capture us at our absolute best. But pride doesn't just happen by accident. It requires us to architect a series of milestones. The source material points to the Couch to 5K running program as a totally perfect example. It doesn't just vaguely tell you to jog more. It structures your achievement, building milestone after milestone until you finally cross a finish line, engineering a profound, undeniable moment of pride. And finally, the fourth element is connection. Defining moments are inherently social. Shared experiences create deeply powerful bonds. Think back to the Yes Prep signing day we talked about earlier. Yes, there was pride in getting into college, for sure, but the moment was magnified exponentially because it was shared with an arena of 5,000 people roaring in unison. Shared meaning strengthens the moment every single time. Section 5. Thinking in moments. Now, despite knowing this amazing framework, elevation, insight, pride, and connection, we are usually pretty terrible at actually applying it to everyday life. Why is that? Well, especially in businesses and organizations, we get obsessively consumed with goals. We only look at time as a way to measure those goals. But for individual human beings, moments are the thing that matter. We have to learn to think in moments. Just think about how terribly we usually handle transitions. Like, what was the first day like at your last job? Was it a defining moment? Usually it's totally flat. You show up, the receptionist isn't really expecting you, you're awkwardly shown to a desk with no computer, the chair still bears the exact imprint of the previous owner, like some sort of, as the book beautifully puts it, ergonomic buttocks fossil. You're handed a massive compliance manual and just left alone. What an incredible wasted opportunity. By thinking in moments, we can completely overhaul that experience. We can deliberately design that transition to make a new team member feel deeply valued and included from minute one. So the crucial point is this. I want you to think about your own personal treasure chest of memories. Somewhere in your house right now, maybe tucked in a drawer or in a cardboard box in the attic, you keep things that are intensely precious to you but completely worthless to anyone else. What's actually in it? Well, maybe a love letter or a ticket stub. That's elevation. Haphazardly colored cards from your kids or an old journal. That's insight. Notes of recognition, old ribbons, or a plastic trophy you just can't bear to throw away. That's pride. And lots of photos. That's connection. Your own personal treasure chest perfectly aligns with this exact framework. Which leaves us with this final lingering thought for you today. You know exactly what it feels like to look at the relics of your life's defining moments in that treasure chest. The warmth, the nostalgia, the meaning. What if you could give that exact same feeling to your kids, your students, your colleagues, or your customers? You have the tools now. Stop waiting for defining moments to just happen to you. Go out there and start authoring them. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to see what moments you engineer.